Border Czar Tom Homan announced that 700 immigration officers will be redeployed out of Minnesota, adjusting a major enforcement surge Republicans say was aimed at restoring law and order. The move follows weeks of protest after two deadly encounters involving federal agents. It comes as Democrats continue to push ICE reforms amid a bitter funding fight that has already triggered the second government shutdown since last fall. And today, the Senate Judiciary Committee is holding a hearing on alleged fraud in Minnesota, estimated to be nearly $9 billion. Joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper, who has been tracking today's top stories. Casey, walk us through today's announcement on immigration agents being withdrawn from Minnesota.
Sure, Tony. Well, President Trump sent Tom Homan, the border czar, to Minneapolis to try to de-escalate the situation, and it looks like so far he might be succeeding. So as you said, he announced that he's withdrawing 700 immigration agents. That leaves about 2,000 agents there on the ground. Now, at a press conference today, here's what Tom Homan attributes as a partial reason for making that withdrawal.
Given this increase in unprecedented collaboration, and as a result of the need for less law enforcement officers to do this work in a safer environment, I have announced effective immediately we will draw down 700 people effective today.
Now, what Homan hinted at in that clip is this all comes as a result of behind-the-scenes negotiations with local officials and the federal government. But given what we've seen in Minneapolis, it's a welcome sign that things may finally be getting under control, Tony.
That's actually good to see. Let's look at some other news. This is a major announcement. A major medical group, opposes now gender transition surgeries on minors. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons has cautioned doctors against performing these gender transition procedures on patients younger than 19. This is pretty significant. What are these new guidelines?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is really a sea change on this issue. So this new guidance that you mentioned from the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, it says that there's not enough evidence to prove that these irreversible trans surgeries on minors have long-term benefits. I guess there's no long-term benefit to a mastectomy, they finally realized. But the guidance recommends that surgeons avoid doing any of these surgeries, the gender-related surgeries on the face, genital surgeries or breast surgeries, until the patient is at least 19. Now, the guidance also acknowledges that surgeons are responsible for determining whether these minors actually understand the long-term implications of these surgeries, which can often involve infertility. Now, this group that you mentioned is the first leading medical group to formally come out against the pediatric gender transition surgeries, but actually, just as we're going on air, the American Medical Association, Tony, made a similar statement.
I mean, this is quite significant when you look at where the trends were headed just a couple of years ago. And I think it's, as we were successful at the Family Research Council getting the SAFE Act out of Arkansas, protecting minors against this, slowing the train down. It looks like the medical providers who were tasked with doing no harm are finally catching up.
And the timing of that trial, that lawsuit as well.
Yeah, because I think they're sensing the financial liability, legal liability there. All right, let's go to Capitol Hill. The House Foreign Affairs Committee held a hearing where they examined the defense of religious freedom around the world. What came out of that meeting?
That's right. It's an important hearing we're watching closely. And this hearing, it highlighted violations of religious freedom rights internationally, and even in some cases, right here at home in the U.S. Now, many of the countries that were the focus of the hearing are ones you'd expect: China, Nigeria, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, even Belarus. Those were the countries highlighted during the hearing where Christians are still being persecuted. In fact, here's what Congressman Chris Smith, who's the chairman of the subcommittee on Africa, had to say.
All around the world today, religious persecution is festering and exploding. What has been unconscionable for decades and centuries has actually gotten worse in many parts of the world. Billions of human beings made in the image and likeness of God live in countries where the God-given right to freely exercise their religion is severely restricted, many to the point of incarceration, torture, and execution. Anti-Semitism is exploding not just in the Middle East, but throughout Western democracies, including in the United States.
Now, others who testified at the hearing were, of course, the Honorable Sam Brownback, Grace Drexel, and Dr. Stephen Schneck. But it just goes to show that while we may think that the persecution of Christians is an issue relegated to the early church is actually sadly still alive and well today.
All right, Casey, thanks so much. Actually, later in the program, Congressman Chris Smith will join us to talk more about today's hearings and other issues.